R&R in the morning continues here on San Antonio Sports Star. I'm sensing a theme this morning. James is feeling it. It's Thursday at 8:30 precisely, and when we look at the clock at the appropriate time, we bring him on. It's RJ Ochoa, blogging the boys. Welcome aboard, young man. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I hope you both are well rested, well nourished, and that you watched something on television that you enjoyed last
night. All of those.
Yeah.
I'm well rested is kind of a broad thing, but yeah, sure. I'm awake.
What's Framber gonna do tonight?
Quality start. That's really all that matters. All that it has to be, right? I mean, so boom. This is the LOL. The Mariners actually thought this was a series game. This is the Astros obliterating them and making their plane right back to Seattle a little bit more uncomfortable.
I can't imagine what Seattle feels today.
The thing about it is that game one, you get that one slipped, that can cost you the series.
Yeah, that's such a kick in the in the nards.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to rebound. Hey, we're in the midst of Thumb Watch.
Yeah.
Hold on, we got a highly produced, well-made promo that we can't find, but as soon as it does land, here it comes. Let's hear it. It's time for
Thumb Watch.
Pretty good, right? Does that give it the level of importance that we should be giving it?
I'd say so. I think that the most important thumbs in the history of the world now are Tom's, right? Was it Tom's thumb or whatever?
Tom's thumb.
The original Gig'em thumb, and maybe Mickey Mouse, right? The old
well, they only had one thumb. That was pretty good, Mickey, by the way.
I'll be here all day.
So, what do you expect, man?
Cooper.
I expect Cooper Rush. I think if you do the math, I think the most important thing that has been said about this was said a few weeks ago, and it was when McCarthy said Dak needs a full week, and yesterday was day one. He didn't get a full day, so it's pretty simple to kind of figure out in that sense. What I will say, I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means. I mean, that's not how I roll. But Mike McCarthy is somebody who likes a little bit of gamesmanship, who likes to keep people on their toes. Some people say the toes are the thumbs of the feet. And on the plane ride to LA, Dak was not wearing the thumb brace that he's been wearing this entire time. That could be a million different things. I mean, you've both had bandages at some point in life. You need to let it air out. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just
whatever.
That. He was wearing the brace the next day during the game, for what it's worth. When there are a lot more cameras involved. And additionally, Cooper Rush's first start, the first of, I guess, infinity, last year on Sunday Night Football against the Vikings, the Cowboys kept that secret very, very close to the vest. Nobody knew up until that Sunday that Cooper was going to be starting for Dak Prescott that night. So it would not be uncommon for this regime to just kind of pull a fast one and have Dak Prescott start on Sunday night, but I do expect Cooper Rush to play.
RJ Ochoa, blogging the boys, joining us for his weekly convo here on R&R in the morning. Okay, so we know what the Cowboys formula is going to be, right? If it's Cooper, run the ball. Don't make Rush make any bad decisions. Don't force him into some difficult situations. What are you most afraid of from Philadelphia? What's the way that they're going to beat us if they beat us?
I mean, I think it's their offense. I'm not even getting hot, but putting the Cowboys in a hole, 10-0, 14-0, 10, 14-point holes. I mean, last week after the Cooper Kupp touchdown, it was kind of interesting, right? Because it was a 1-point deficit. The score was 10-9, but it's like, okay, let's see you play from behind, Cooper Rush. And then Tony Pollard ruined it all with a 57-yard touchdown right away. That didn't really allow us to kind of see what they look like that way. And I think that's we still don't know who he is in that whole sense. I know that sounds stupid, but the first game against the Bengals, Tony Pollard took a little pitch 46 yards down to the 1-yard line. On Monday Night Football, a week later, Tony Pollard had the big touchdown run that Jason Peters helped spring him loose on. And then last week he had the 57-yard touchdown, which was their only offensive touchdown. The Cowboys started their actual true first offensive possession on the Los Angeles 20-yard line and barely got 3 points out of it. So my fear is that Philly is able to mount some scoring, and because they will score. This is the best offense the Cowboys are going up against so far. I know people are impressed by the Bengals, but and that you can't stick to that, and that those big home runs aren't coming. I mean, I don't know that this is a team that you can beat with death by 1,000 paper cuts.
This thing I worry about, RJ, when I look at it, Justin Jefferson leads the league in receiving, and the only game where he didn't look like Justin Jefferson, where I was like, what happened, was against Darius Slay. And against Darius Slay, he had the least amount of catches, only 6 catches for 48 yards. How do you see that matchup going with Darius Slay and CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, I remember that vividly. I saw Jason Minnick's tweet about Prize Picks one day, so I checked it out, and I lost that night on Justin Jefferson. So thanks for poking at an old wound there, Rudy. But this is going to sound weird.
Okay.
That doesn't concern me at all.
Wow.
Because like
Cooper don't throw it that much anyway.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? Okay,
true.
Cool.
Great point.
I mean?
Great point, RJ.
It's like I'm on a diet already, and you're like, you know what, RJ? No more cake for you. Okay, cool. Like I've already sworn off of it. I mean, that's just kind of how I feel.
Okay.
When we look, what's the most important matchup of the game? Where are you looking for the turning point?
I don't know that the Cowboys are going to spy Jalen Hurts, but it would be that. I mean, it would be Donovan. Yeah, Donovan Wilson, Jaron Curse. I don't know that you want to devote Micah to just that.
Are you talking spying to keep him in the pocket? Is that what we're talking about, or just
no? When he takes off, I'm going to have somebody on his butt.
Right, like your responsibility if you're spying Jalen Hurts is to mimic him. You need to know what the tag on his T-shirt says by the end of the night. Like you got to be intimately aware of Jalen Hurts' entire game on Sunday night, and so he's the one who can win it. I mean, in the Cowboys, there was a great article I tweeted out this morning from Football Outsiders. They're the best team in the NFL at getting home with just 4 rushers. That they're not blitzing a lot, and I think that's okay. If you can get home with 4 rushers, now you can devote a spy. I mean, because the more people you devote to other things, the less people you have kind of patrolling, roaming around the secondary. That has to be one. I mean, that the Cowboys are going to have to mitigate Jalen Hurts scoring in some way, shape, or fashion.
Okay, I don't want to get too deep in the woods because one, I'm not like some football X and O expert, but now what is that? Now, if you're going to bring Donovan, because when we talked about this the other day, and my buddy was like, I'd rather have Van Der Esch or Donovan spy him. Now, once Hurts figures out that that's who the spy is, doesn't that change how he looks at A.J. Brown on the outside or Devontae Smith on the outside? Like, hey, if Donovan's spying me, maybe I have more one-on-one opportunities with those guys on the outside.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I mean, I think you would argue that maybe that's what you want if you're the Cowboys, right? Like maybe.
Well, RJ, you don't want no part of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I love the Cowboys secondary, but let's be real. You don't want to see those boys one-on-one.
But can't we?
To be clear,
okay, go ahead.
Not be like a plan for like then you adjust, you adapt.
Okay,
change,
right.
It's things evolve throughout the game, and so maybe there is a moment where you are baiting them into one particular matchup you like, and it's a constant chess match. You got to sacrifice the queen at some point, Rudy. I know you watch the show on Netflix.
Yes, I love that show. Go ahead.
He cheats at chess, and we'll tell you how later. The numbers with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence I find very interesting. And you just brought up the fact that they're really the only team in the NFL, at least successful defense, that really consistently only brings 4. They will blitz, there's no question. But when you look at win rate, though, the Cowboys are the only team in the league that has 2 players, DeMarcus and Micah, with a top 10 win rate against tackles. The Philadelphia tackles are also pretty good against the rush. They're 6th in win rate. So that is the pivot point to me. And I'm not sure if it's about spying or keeping them in the inside the tackles, as it were, inside the numbers, keeping them from being flush. But if they can get to them, isn't that their pass defense anyway? Isn't it about the getting to the quarterback? You got 1.2 seconds, man. You're going to have to get rid of it because they're coming. Do the Cowboys, can you see Quinn suddenly adapting to the blitz here?
There's an argument for that. I think a lot of people look at quarterbacks who have a long average time to throw as an example and be like, wow, that's amazing. Like, holy crap, this guy's got 2 full seconds. Like, that's not always the best thing in the world.
No, you're right.
Like,
that means there's coverage going on. You're right.
Right. I mean, you want that ball out. I mean, that's why Tom Brady's got the quickest release, ever,
Right.
like, historically and year in and year out. And so, and on top of that, the one area where this pass rush and this defense is susceptible is, quarterbacks on the move. And that doesn't necessarily mean like the Michael Vicks, Lamar Jacksons, and Daniel Joneses of the world. But it just means getting out of the pocket. And, last week, I think the Cowboys, by design, wanted Matthew Stafford out of the pocket because that's not a dude who can move or operate well on the run, but Jalen Hurts can. And so, like, to your point, Rob, you can argue that maybe you've got to turn your head upside down this week and go at things a little bit differently, because what you've been doing against these more, statue-like quarterbacks that are going to work against Jalen Hurts. You've got to be careful with your blitzes. They have to be well-timed. You have to send the right guys. The Cowboys have been really wise about that, and you got to get home. I mean, Dan Quinn is somebody who's willing to risk it. And I think, this is obviously a team they know very well. I trust him, but I mean, this is a very, very good offense and a very good quarterback ultimately.
What's interesting to me, RJ, I wonder what it is that the Cowboys show defensively, because, and again, we're all the way in the woods. What do they show defensively that make teams go away from the run? I think I really feel like if you stick with the run against the Cowboys, who've given up about 118 yards a game, if you were to stick with it, like Philly may, you may be able to crack the Da Vinci Code.
That's fair. I mean, and the Rams kind of, for whatever reason, I mean, people think Sean McVay is like infallible. Couldn't identify that, right? Even Ron Rivera couldn't identify that running the ball was having success against the Cowboys. But I do think what they show is it comes down to what Rob said, about Micah and DeMarcus Lawrence. The Cowboys will show that they're coming from one side and they'll load up and teams will guard against that. And then they just have dudes who can get home. They can trust Micah and D-Law on their own to either get home or cause enough havoc to ruin the play. And so they do bait people into doing what they want by what they show. They'll load you up. They'll put, they'll slide their tackles over. They'll put their linebacker on that side because they want you to think that they're coming from there, because they're fine going 2 against 3 with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence because they know that they'll win that matchup.
It's going to be a heck of a game. You can catch it right here on San Antonio Sports Star Sunday night at 6 o'clock. This is some numbers behind this. If you're used to Cowboys and Eagles in primetime, well, there's a reason why. This is the 16th consecutive year the two franchises have met in primetime. It's the second longest streak in the history of the NFL since the merger. It's tied with the Chargers and Raiders, who will meet later on, and their streak goes back to 2006. So we see them a lot, the Cowboys and the Eagles. You like the Cowboys this week, RJ? On the way out?
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
And
on the road, wow.
Well, Cowboys games in Philly have lacked a little bit of juice in years past. So that it's really exciting that this one has a lot going on. I'm so pumped. I haven't been this excited to watch a Cowboys defense, and I don't know, I mean, it's been a minute. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be epic. And what's exciting is they really are underdogs. They've got the house money. They have
6,
nothing to lose.
-6.5. Should I bet the mortgage, RJ? Would you tell me to bet my mortgage?
Bet yours and Rob's. I mean, and if y'all,
I would go bet it all.
Enough room in the studio. If it doesn't work out, you pull out with a couple sleeping bags. You'll figure it out for a little while. That's
what we do. RJ Ochoa, he of Blogging the Boys. If you haven't checked it out today, can you really call yourself a Cowboy fan? Really?
No, you can't.
Hey, take care of yourself, RJ. Always a pleasure.
I love you both. O'Doyle rules.
Go Mariners.
RJ Ochoa, Blogging the Boys. Seriously, if you're not hitting the site on that every day, you're really not a Cowboy fan. I'm looking at a great article by Dave Halpern, one of my favorite writers right now, the Cowboys-Eagles preview. Go check it out at bloggingtheboys.com.